Trying something a little different. I'm standing near the Connecticut River and you can hear all the traffic. I think that's Highway 91 going by at around lunchtime in Hartford. So, kind of a spring-like day here in Hartford. What I want to get into is Nicholas Nickleby. We'll get started on that. That's my novel, Dickens novel for February. I'm actually reading, of course, several more at the same time. I've got, let me see if I can show you. I've got this one I'm ripping through. This is what I do to my old paperbacks that are just about dead. I rip them off piece by piece. So I'll just talk about Nicholas Nickleby as a novel. Similar to Pickwick Papers, it's kind of a mess. He has a couple stories interpolated in there where various characters are entertaining each other with a story they're telling, like he did in Pickwick. But this is basically the last time he's going to do it. Dickens did start a few magazines, or wrote for some magazines and did short pieces for those. In his novels, he just stopped writing those little bitty stories in there. But the plot, there is kind of a plot. He did set up at the very beginning of the novel his primary antagonism. The primary conflict is between Nicholas Nickleby, what a surprise, and his uncle, Ralph Nickleby. I'm not going to talk about the characters right now, but we start out with Nicholas Nickleby, his mom, and his younger sister. He's a young adult, maybe he's about 19 years old. His sister's probably about 17 years old. And his mom is probably in her mid-40s or so, about my age, say. And his father has died. He's also named Nicholas. They were out in the country. His father basically was no good at money. And his wife was kind of ambitious. They wanted to provide for their children, give them good education, but they really couldn't afford it. Anyway, he speculated with the money. There was a bubble. It bust. And he was one of the people who was ruined. And he died of some kind of infectious illness after that. Anyway, that's the end of the old Nicholas Nickleby. So what about Ralph? Ralph Nickleby was the older brother of Nicholas Nickleby, the older one who died. And he had a very different trajectory in his life. He got out, and I just gotta say, they were both the old Nicholas and Ralph inherited money from when their father died. And their father and mother married late in life, and it sounded like a fractious marriage. Anyway, so when the father died, he left a bunch of money to Ralph, just gave him cash outright, and Nicholas, the older Nicholas, who's now dead, got an estate and a little bit of money. So he's supposed to be a gentleman farmer out in the country, and as I said, that didn't really work out too well because he ended up wanting to be as rich as his brother Ralph. As Ralph, they were probably late teens when this occurred. Ralph goes to London and he starts his way working up, and actually you learn a little bit about Ralph's childhood where he used to lend various things to other children, but the best part is where he used to lend money, and I'm trying to remember, it was like the interest was 2 pence for a halfpenny or something like that, which obviously is an extortionate rate of interest. But what's really funny is he had the interest paid week by week, and the interest amount didn't matter when you had the loan. And the argument is, if you needed the money on the day before you actually got your allowance, your pocket money, you obviously were desperate. So that's kind of amusing. Anyway, Ralph has built himself up to quite a rich man in London by the time his brother dies, and we start out the novel with Nicholas, his mom, and his sister showing up at Ralph in London and a note to Ralph Nickleby, and it goes from there. There's not much of a plot other than that. So, but I will be talking about Ralph Nickleby specifically in his own video later.